job.
41 degrees and major power failures across the west. Tonight, electricity overload. Thousands of homes blacked out. Parramatta's CBD in chaos. Temperatures near a November record. Australia's new COVID outbreak. Some borders closed to South Australia, but New South Wales stays open. The government to pay a massive compensation bill for targeting welfare recipients. 400,000 people to benefit. Assault and intimidation. NRL legend Sam Burgess versus his ex-wife in court. The 91-year-old paraglider who crashed into the ocean and survived. A few Ks over the limit, fined $1,000. The cash grab costing drivers. A milestone birthday in a turbulent year. Qantas marks a century. And Daily Cherry Evans lights the fuse for more Origin fireworks.
Live from Sydney, 7 News with Mark Ferguson.
Good evening. Power blackouts have struck thousands of homes and caused traffic chaos in Parramatta on what has been the hottest November day in 5 years across parts of Western Sydney. Penrith and Badgerys Creek were officially the hottest, both nudging 41 degrees.
On the hottest day since February, a power meltdown. Traffic to queue in the heart of the west. Drivers hot and very bothered. Cars at intersections coming too close for comfort. The outage at the Camellia substation cutting supply to traffic lights. Homes and businesses were impacted in Parramatta, Harris Park, Rosehill and Granville, saying the blackout wasn't related to hot weather, simply a coincidence. But the cause is still under investigation. Those lucky enough not to be stuck in traffic as Sydney sweltered cooled their heels in the Nepean River as summer dropped in early.
Oh, it's pretty warm.
Yeah, how was the water?
Beautiful.
In Penrith, the mercury soared to 40.6, so too in Badgerys Creek. Bankstown hit 38.7, Richmond 38.3. In the city, slightly cooler thanks to a sea breeze, 36.5.
For some areas, these November temperatures are the warmest for this time of year in terms of November for about 5 years.
As the weather warms, a reminder not to get complacent with water safety after a 7-year-old boy drowned yesterday in the Blue Mountains.
The recent tragedies we've seen in the last couple of days have just been heartbreaking.
And the Bureau of Meteorology says there will be no reprieve from the heat until at least midnight when a southerly change kicks in.
And Peter Fegan joins me now from Parramatta. Pete, we're hearing power has now been restored.
Mark, Endeavour Energy has confirmed with us as of 5:25 this afternoon, all areas affected by that substation fault, the power has been restored. At roughly 3:45 this afternoon is when the power went out. As we just heard, thousands of homes and businesses were affected. So too traffic lights, Mark. This intersection behind me, like many others in the area, have only in the past few minutes been able to flow since the traffic lights were turned back on. A very frustrating afternoon here in Parramatta, Mark.
But now returning to normal. Pete, thank you. All eyes are on Adelaide tonight as our fifth biggest city sits on a COVID knife edge with fears of a Melbourne-style outbreak. Cases quadrupled overnight, triggering long queues for testing and some panic buying. For now, New South Wales will keep its border open.
Fresh off the plane from Adelaide and straight into COVID screening at Sydney Airport, upgraded vigilance.
They went through a checklist, we'd filled in a form. We knew that this was going to happen. Our temperature was taken.
As South Australians woke up to a nightmare, 17 new infections. It's visibly worried Premier.
We must act swiftly and decisively. We cannot wait to see how bad this gets.
They weren't. From the early hours, long queues for COVID checks. Drive-in testing clinics were swamped. Congested streets as Adelaide reacted to a worrying spike.
There's always a fear, I suppose, of the second wave.
All but two of the cases from the same family, shutting a school, catching out parents. Virus tracing has closed a prison and a Hungry Jack's restaurant where a staff member worked while infectious.
We do not want to go back to shutdown.
Effective midnight, a raft of new restrictions will be in place as panic buying returned.
No toilet paper left, hardly any hand towel left.
Sydney passengers heard the news as they arrived at Adelaide Airport.
Yes, I'll be not going out anywhere, I think.
Yeah, we're actually quite concerned now about getting home.
I'll
see if I get stuck here for Christmas.
As borders close, South Australia already shut off from Western Australia, Tasmania, Queensland and the Northern Territory, but not New South Wales.
We need to live with COVID, and every time there's an outbreak, you can't shut down borders, disrupt lives.
The same initial reaction to the outbreak in Victoria before the virus spread here.
We are today calling on the New South Wales Premier to lock down our state now.
I'm not suggesting it's not concerning, it is. If we had 17 cases overnight in New South Wales, I would be very, very concerned.
Instead, for the 9th day running, no new locally acquired COVID cases in New South Wales. But all eyes on South Australia. The Prime Minister says he's confident the plan to have all borders open by Christmas remains on track. And for beyond then, launching a plan for $1 billion vaccine factory in Victoria.
Today is about saving lives and protecting lives.
And Chris Marr joins me now from Sydney Airport. Chris, what's being done to prevent COVID spreading here from Adelaide?
Mark, health officials are temperature screening airline passengers from South Australia to Sydney and Broken Hill. They're also checking whether those passengers have attended venues of concern in Adelaide. Now, the very same checks are being conducted on train passengers from South Australia. There are 11 flights from South Australia scheduled today, 9 tomorrow into Sydney, Mark.
Chris Marr at Mascot, thank you. An alarming 000 call made after ex-NRL star Sam Burgess allegedly assaulted and intimidated his former father-in-law has been made public. Security video also reveals the Rabbitohs star was drinking before the alleged attack in the Southern Highlands.
Sam Burgess, Phoebe Burgess, her father Mitchell Hook, for the first time in court together as serious allegations are tested.
Why were you so angry at your father-in-law? Do you ever just stop and think, how's it come to this?
It was October last year. Sam Burgess was seen drinking alone at Barrel's Royal Hotel. In just over an hour, he has 4 beers before driving to his father-in-law's house to visit his children. When it came time to leave, Mitchell Hook said Sam refused to go, saying, "Nup, this is inhumane." Mr. Hook told the court, "I remember the finger being right in my face and the look, it was enraged hate. I said, 'You're going to hit a 64-year-old man?' He said, 'I'm going to get you.'" Mr. Burgess left a short time later. Phoebe arrived home afterwards and called police.
He's 60 years old and it was just shaking up. And he's a great man. He's just shouldn't be doing that to a 60-year-old father.
Mitchell Hook denied wanting to destroy Sam Burgess's career and reputation, but both he and Phoebe Burgess admitted to giving an interview to the Australian newspaper outlining yet more allegations of domestic violence and drug abuse. Those details, though, have not yet resulted in any charges by police. Proceedings will continue in January when we'll learn if Sam Burgess will give evidence or maintain his right to silence. Evan Batten, 7 News.
400,000 Australians who were victims of the government's robo-debt scheme will receive compensation following the biggest settlement in class action history. The scheme, which clawed back social security overpayments, was deemed unlawful. Labor now wants a royal commission.
2 hours after receiving his robo-debt, Kathleen Madgwick's son Jared took his own life.
Nothing can compensate for that and nothing ever will.
For her, it's about accountability, not money.
I feel like the government settling out of court is a way they're not being held accountable for the actual damage they've done.
Under that settlement, the government's agreeing to pay an additional $112 million compensation to 400,000 people, having already repaid $720 million in debts and dropped almost $400 million in outstanding claims, a total of $1.2 billion.
This will be the largest payment of a financial benefit to the largest group of victims of a class action in Australian legal history.
How much each individual gets from today's decision will be assessed in coming months and paid next year.
I think no money amount will ever compensate people for the hardship they've been through.
The robo-debt scheme used income averaging data from the tax office to automatically generate debts, incorrectly claiming that people had been overpaid by Centrelink.
We have corrected that and we've been paying the money back.
Centrelink's debt recovery process resumed 2 weeks ago, but this time with more human oversight.
They put the legal dogs on these people and it turns out it was illegal.
The Commonwealth has not accepted or admitted any liability in the matter.
But is now paying the price. Mark Riley, 7 News.
Share market deals worth billions of dollars have been delayed after a computer meltdown froze the Australian Stock Exchange this morning. The market rose quickly after opening, but the outage struck just 24 minutes into the session. The ASX has blamed data issues. It's confident of reopening tomorrow. We're being told to brace for the worst unemployment figures in more than 20 years as the state government focuses on creating jobs in tomorrow's budget. Today there was the promise of business tax cuts to help keep workers on, but there are no guarantees for public servants.
Sending a clear message to the Premier. Shame, Gladys, shame! Nurses join frontline workers outside Parliament to slam a key savings measure in tomorrow's budget.
What do we do? Stand up, fight back!
An effective freeze on public sector wages, then slashing future increases from 2.5 to 1.5%.
It's not good enough.
It's a disgrace.
Even states like WA, Labor states, have a pay freeze.
The Treasurer promised them no job cuts for now.
There are no plans in tomorrow's budget in relation to a reduction of public servants.
But there's no long-term promise.
Another budget is being handed down in 6 months and the Treasurer is refusing to guarantee their jobs.
This budget predicts unemployment will peak this year at 7.5%, the highest level in 23 years, reducing to 5.25% by June 2024 by creating 270,000 jobs.
Our budget focuses on jobs, on job security, job creation.
There'll be several stimulus measures, including fast-track funding for major infrastructure projects and a big cut to payroll tax, helping business owners keep their staff and hopefully hire more.
This is the cash flow that will help get them through this pandemic.
There's still a long way to go. Alex Hart, 7 News.
8 days since President-elect Joe Biden claimed victory in the US, it's looking more likely Donald Trump will leave the White House without ever conceding. Today he edged closer to admitting he lost before a new barrage of tweets as opposing protesters clashed in the Capitol.
Washington on edge. Trump's supporters and opponents clash near police barriers around the White House as the president heads to play golf. Earlier, he'd appeared to finally accept Democrat Joe Biden's victory 8 days ago. He won because the election was rigged. No vote watchers or observers allowed.
Is the president right now in this tweet conceding this election?
No, far from it. What he's saying is more, I guess you'd call it sarcastic.
Sure enough, a clarifying tweet. Joe Biden only won in the eyes of the fake news media. I concede nothing.
When your time is up, then it is your job to put the country first and think beyond your own ego.
And this Republican agrees. Donald Trump's old national security advisor has slammed party colleagues who've backed the president's effort to overturn the vote.
But he won't leave graciously, and he'll do a lot of damage in the meantime.
Prompting this. John Bolton was one of the dumbest people in government, a real dope. The White House transition remains stalled as the country's third wave of coronavirus roars to record levels. And yet the most prominent virus advisor here says President Trump has not been involved.
The last time the president was physically at a task force meeting was several months ago.
Joe Biden appeared at church today. The president-elect's inauguration is still 9.5 weeks away. In Washington, Tim Lester, 7 News.
There's a citywide manhunt tonight to find a killer who stabbed a father of 2 to death outside his Western Sydney home. Traumatised neighbours watched paramedics desperately try to save him after what police suspect was a drug deal gone wrong.
Collapsing outside a neighbour's home, this is where Warwick Hunter would take his final breath.
I'm a nurse, so I could see that they were doing CPR, the ambulance people, and there was a lot of police walking up and down.
The 49-year-old father of 2 was attacked at his Toongabbie home around 10:30 last night. Investigators say Mr Hunter left a trail of blood as he staggered almost 400 metres for help. Residents found him bleeding heavily with at least 5 stab wounds to the chest.
At this stage, it's unknown what kind of weapon was used.
It's terrifying. I haven't even told my kids because it's never happened in our street. It's very calm, quiet.
Believing the killer was still inside Mr Hunter's home, officers surrounded the property.
Please just come to the front door for me.
No one was there. The suspect had slipped away. The 49-year-old lived in this home for more than a decade, and residents say while he kept to himself, police were here often. Investigators haven't confirmed a motive for the killing, but are looking at the possibility Mr Hunter was involved in an argument over drugs. Today, Mr Hunter's devastated loved ones tried to help detectives find answers and a killer. Natasha Squarey, 7 News.
A 91-year-old paraglider feared he was going to drown after crashing into a cliff on Sydney's northern beaches. His only hope was that someone had seen him go down as he was thrown into the ocean. And despite the danger and his age, he's already keen to get back in the sky.
Up on his feet at the bottom of a cliff, 91-year-old Joss Botts had just fallen from the sky. His paraglider crashed into a cliff. Joss has a gash on his leg and a sore wrist, but all things considered, he's now doing pretty well.
So I made a quick turn. If you make a quick turn, you lose a lot of height too. I went down like a rock and I just hit the rock face with my feet and fell in the water.
It happened at 6 last night near Warriewood on Sydney's northern beaches. Bystanders pulled him out.
They're the real heroes. I owe them my life, that's for sure.
The thrill seeker declined the offer of a helicopter ride out. Instead, emergency crews harnessed him up and he walked up and out.
Well done, Joss. Here we go, Joss.
That's an amazing job by him. It just goes to show that you can do anything at any age.
Joss Botts is the oldest paraglider in Australia. He picked up the hobby 40 years ago and it's still his passion. Not even yesterday's close call has turned him off. Here he is, flying over the Nevada desert.
Hi there. Taking a little selfie.
An adrenaline junkie who's coasting through retirement.
If old age gets me really, I'll have to stop, I guess.
At 91, it hasn't caught him yet. Miley Hogan, 7 News.
Qantas is celebrating its centenary today, from the skies above Sydney to its outback birthplace. The airline, which first flew mail in the bush, has spread the spirit of Australia around the world. Until this, its most turbulent year yet.
Happy birthday, Qantas!
100 years old, the airline that became an icon. They almost invented long-haul travel, but today we're celebrating with the most short-haul of flights on this 100 minutes with 100 pilots and staff, and Tom Sample, turning 100 today.
It's an amazing experience for me. Of course, it's the first time I've ever been 100 before.
Tom remembers his first flight when the windows on planes could open.
The pilot was continually opening the window, let the fresh air in, and I was freezing.
It began 1920, outback Queensland.
Only 17 years after the Wright brothers flew the first aircraft.
Running flying boats in the 30s to Singapore out of Sydney Harbour, the country's first international airport. The first passenger jets outside the US. Qantas invented business class and rescue slides. Just last year, ran the longest commercial flights in the world, non-stop from New York and London.
All those decades spent conquering time and distance, setting records. But this year, of course, Qantas has been struggling to even make it as far as a state border. COVID has turned the airline's 100th year into its most difficult of all.
Thousands stood down, most of the fleet grounded, and fears for another 2,500 ground staff today.
This is an historical day for Qantas. They could turn around and not ditch 2,500 workers without a parachute and give them their jobs back.
I mean, it's easy for a lot of the unions to criticise what's going on. This has been really tough to try and get the company through this period of time.
He notes Qantas was born after the last great global pandemic, Spanish flu, just as determined to set course off COVID for the next 100-year journey. Chris Reason, 7 News.
Now for the latest on Sydney's extreme heat. Angie, what's behind these intense conditions?
Mark, this is a burst of desert heat from central Australia. It's being dragged all the way to the coast by northwesterly winds and it is not budging just yet. We saw a late surge in heat this afternoon. It is still 26 degrees in the city. Penrith's 41 degrees, though, was one of the warmest places anywhere in the state today. That's because as the air comes down the other side of the Blue Mountains, it heats even further as it descends and the sea breeze just doesn't push far enough to offer relief. What will offer relief, though, is this cold front. It is tracking towards our coastline now, so we'll see these northwesterlies turn around to the south, bringing a significant drop in temperature from around midnight. I will have tomorrow's much cooler forecast soon, Mark.
Sounds good, Angie. Thank you. A fight between two women turned physical on a Sydney street. After the break, the moment one revealed she was an undercover cop. Claims of self-defence, the samurai sword at the centre of a murder trial. Blast off for a special space mission, how long the astronauts will spend out of this world. Summer warning, the danger lurking inside our air conditioners. Details later. And in sport, will Cameron Smith play on? The latest on the league champions playing future.
Seven News brought to you by Industry Super Funds.
Pretty soon, the amount of super paid on top of our wages will go up. And up. And up. And up. All the way to 12% guaranteed. That extra money will make a big difference when I retire, put my feet up. You see, your future is even more super.
She betrayed her best friend.
It doesn't change what I did. I killed Ross.
What she's about to do could ruin his life.
This witness is key. I need to find out who they are.
Does this witness person know that they can tear a family apart?
She can't keep it a secret forever.
The prosecution calls.
Home and Away, tonight at 7.
Get your Woolies worth and prepare for Christmas with prices dropped on 140 more products. Like Chris's Heritage Vintage Dips, 170 grams, now just $7 each. Helping your money go further this Christmas at Woolworths.
Everyone knows Australia has 4 big banks, but the 5th biggest retail bank is regularly voted one of the most trusted brands in Australia, looks after more than 1.8 million customers and can be found in over 500 locations nationwide. So try Bendigo Bank, the better big bank.
Take control with the Remington Quick Room Body and Back Roomer. The dual-sided blade provides ultra-close trimming for a smooth look. Easily reach back hair and use wet or dry. Remington's Quick Room Body and Back Roomer. Available only at Shaver Shop.
Cookie people, cream people, crumbs people, clean people, twist people, lick people, dunk people, munch people. It's on the play, people. If you twist, lick, dunk, then you're my people. We are Oreo people.
Happy birthday!
Are you serious?
Help take care of your family with Medibank Life Insurance. Apply for cover up to $2.5 million, depending on age and income.
Everybody gather round, the Calypso man. People come from all around, see Calypso man. Everybody love the Calypso man.
Welcome back. 2 women will face court charged with assaulting police at Coogee on Saturday night. One was videoed in an argument before an undercover officer flashed her police badge. It's alleged both women, aged 22, had been warned several times to move on and watch their language. One officer was injured and taken to hospital. The trial for a young couple charged with murdering a man with a samurai sword has heard the alleged victim tried to rob them because they were drug dealers. The pair denies they intentionally killed him, claiming they were acting in self-defence.
Blake Davis and Hannah Quinn stand accused of murdering an aspiring rapper
and hiding from police. They were chasing the deceased, the prosecutor said. Davis raised that sword above his head while the man was on his hands and knees. Jet McKee stumbled several metres before collapsing and dying in the middle of the road at Forest Lodge in 2018. The court heard the 30-year-old ice addict had a gambling problem and needed money. Armed with knuckle dusters, a balaclava and a replica gun, he planned to rob Davis and Quinn, who the prosecutor said were drug dealers. McKee got into their home but quickly left. One neighbour will testify she witnessed the male begin to swing in a clubbing down motion, then saw three of them running. The jury was told Quinn pulled the would-be thief to the ground before Davis caught up and cut him again with the sword. "What the F have you done?" Quinn is alleged to have screamed. "Shh, I'm going to jail." The couple then fled into hiding. Hannah Quinn and Blake Davis checked into a number of hotels while they were on the run. 3 days after the alleged murder took place, they handed themselves into the police. The jury has to choose from 3 possible verdicts: not guilty due to self-defence, manslaughter because that self-defence was excessive, or murder. Leonie Ryan, 7 News.
The British Prime Minister is back in isolation tonight inside number 10 Downing Street after an MP he met with on Thursday tested positive to COVID. They and a handful of others met for 35 minutes. The PM now in 14 days quarantine. Boris Johnson will try to attend Parliament remotely and says he has no symptoms, while health officials say few people have tested positive twice. Under the government's own rules, he must isolate. SpaceX has launched its first operational crew mission, sending 4 NASA astronauts to the International Space Station. The Falcon 9 lifted off from Cape Canaveral this morning.
Ignition. Liftoff.
1 Alpha.
Roger, 1 Alpha. Godspeed, resilience.
Only days ago, the Dragon capsule became the first privately owned and operated spacecraft certified for human space flight. Its rocket booster successfully returned to Earth, landing on a ship, leaving the crew headed for the ISS, where they'll stay for 6 months. Entire trees have been seen sliding away, the result of a peat slippage near the Irish border. Startling video shows a section of the landscape moving slowly but surely down a hillside. An investigation has been launched into what caused the slip. There were no reports of injuries, but the full extent of damage remains unclear. Delta Goodrum's been forced to face her stalker as he represented himself in court. Just ahead, a new alleged victim at the centre of his affection. Toxic soil linked to cancer and the state government's $53 million purchase. Buy now, pay later, the alarming figures with companies accused of being debt traps. And royal reaction, Prince Charles's scathing review of his Netflix portrayal.
Through trust, we hold each other's lives in our hands.
There's some of you here are questionable.
On the end of that rope is your partner. You have control of their life.
I don't trust many people.
I won't be doing this ever again.
Go, let go.
People let you down.
Lean back! Go!
You're going to tell us something that you're ashamed of.
My father was dying of cancer, and I made the wrong decision.
I got myself in a compromising position.
We'll expose the darkest part of them on SAS Australia.
Tonight, 7:30 on 7.
Hurry up.
Hello. Oh, milk. Carrots. Yup.
We grow 'em for Woolies.
Woolies.
Oh, would the guys like some? It's Christmas.
If you insist. Oh, come on, carrots. Now, for presents. And one more for you. Oh. Time to go. Hey, up. Be good. Sharing the spirit of Christmas. Woolworths.
At The Lot, we're open for dreams, and our retailers are too. For a chance to make your dreams come true, visit your local retailer and play in store. Dream big, play local.
Once there was a huge
Your kids never stop surprising you. Give some surprise back. Discover the new toys of Dino Dash and Fairy Friends. Kinder Surprise. Life is made of surprise.
Let's compare health insurance. You might even save some money. Okay, I'll do it. Take the out of saving. Now's the time to compare, select and save with iSelect.
Meatballs at the ready. Aye, aye. Fire.
We've hit a sub cup. Sinker Sub is here. Win millions of prizes instantly, like an Isuzu MU-X and 10K every week. Play today, only at Subway.
No time for hay fever? Get back to life fast with Zyrtec. No hay fever tablet works faster.
Welcome back. The Premier has welcomed an investigation into the Transport Department's purchase of contaminated land for more than $53 million when it was valued at just $15 million. The sale handed a property company a massive profit, the land now needed for a light rail depot.
Just alongside Rosehill Racecourse, a flurry of activity to decontaminate an old factory site. And now the dust has settled in faraway Macquarie Street, there are serious questions about the cost to taxpayers.
Oh, well, I think at face value, there are sufficient questions there that need to be answered.
The site is meant to be a maintenance depot for the Parramatta Light Rail, but the soil is heavily contaminated with known cancer-causing chemicals. It was bought by a property company for $38 million, then sold to the government 7 months later for $53 million, a $15 million paper profit on land with a valuation of $15.5 million. And taxpayers still have to pay for remediation of the toxic soil, potentially costing hundreds of millions more. The opposition has labelled the purchase a shocking waste of public money.
This developer made a massive profit off taxpayers by flipping 6 hectares of toxic land to Andrew Constance's hapless department.
The minister has ordered an investigation, saying, "I have written to the Auditor-General seeking her engagement to independently review this matter."
I think it deserves to have a full and frank investigation.
The property company says it had no advance knowledge of government plans, was a reluctant seller, and its net profit was only $8 million. Ashley Hansen, 7 News.
A man convicted of stalking singer Delta Goodrem has now been accused of breaching an apprehended violence order by sending her numerous messages. She appeared in court today via video link and was forced to answer questions from the 48-year-old after he was allowed to cross-examine her himself.
A defiant Delta Goodrem face to face with the man convicted of stalking her.
I didn't tell the police anything. All I told them was I wrote her poems.
James Lafferty found guilty in February of relentlessly pursuing Miss Goodrem, sending 300 messages and appearing outside her Sydney apartment multiple times. Today, he was back in court, accused of continuing to contact the singer even after being served an apprehended violence order. "You had been told to move on from outside my apartment," Miss Goodrem told the court via video link. "When I came back from work, you were still there. The AVO was to protect myself." Lafferty directly cross-examined Miss Goodrem. "Did I ever threaten to hurt you?" he asked. "There has definitely been 2 different sides from you. That's been stressful for me."
Usually someone convicted of a crime would never be able to cross-examine their victim, but in this case, James Lafferty didn't have a lawyer and was representing himself, something victims' advocates say should never take place in court.
This anomaly means that victims are being re-traumatised.
The Attorney-General has told 7 News he understands the distress complainants would feel at facing their alleged attacker in court and is open to making changes to legislation in the future. Samantha Brett, 7 News.
There's a backlash from some of Prince Charles's friends about the way he's being portrayed in the latest season of the TV series The Crown, with its depiction of explosive fights with Diana. It came as the Prince of Wales embarked on a historic diplomatic mission to Germany.
Decades after the end of hostilities, another step forward. The future king and the German president together laying wreaths at Berlin's War Memorial. Charles and Camilla are the first British royals to visit, marking the armistice, what Germany considers a national day of mourning. Clarence House saying it was an event to pay tribute to the Allied effort to liberate Germany, before the Prince of Wales delivered a message to a sparsely populated German parliament.
We have long viewed each other with fascination, admiring of each other's culture.
Then speaking in German, a clear message of soft diplomacy as Brexit negotiations reach a tumultuous climax.
Daher bin ich der festen.
I am convinced the central bonds between us will remain strong, he said. All on the same weekend, the world watched his relationship fall apart.
No, thanks to you, people are laughing in my face.
Charles's friends telling British newspapers the portrayal of his marriage to Diana in the latest season of The Crown is inaccurate and cruel in its false depictions, labelling it trolling on a Hollywood budget, raising questions about the Sussexes' multi-million-dollar deal with Netflix. In London, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
It's exploded in popularity and changed the way we shop, but there's also a dark side to buy now, pay later. For many, it has become a gateway to debt, with 1 in 5 missing meals to make repayments.
Hairdresser Ashley Arthur Smith avoids credit cards but loves her Afterpay.
It definitely keeps our monthly household budget in check.
Saying buy now, pay later tools help her juggle family finances.
I just find it really easy to manage.
But not all users are coping as well as Ashley. A new report from corporate regulator ASIC shows the industry's rapid growth. In 2018, customers carried out around 17 million buy now, pay later transactions. Just 1 year later, nearly double that. But 1 in 5 users cut back on essentials to make their payments, while 15% took out another loan to cover them.
They have the ability to blow significant holes in people's budgets.
Next October, ASIC will bring in new obligations, saying that if providers want their products to be seen as budgeting tools, not as debt traps, they'd better act like them.
Zip has always conducted ID, credit and banking checks on all our applicants since day one, so we're delivering different outcomes.
For now, ASIC won't crack down any further, saying policy and regulation of the buy now, pay later industry remain a matter for government and ultimately the Parliament.
The government is allowing the industry to self-regulate. The big question is, will it have enough teeth to make a difference?
Gemma Acton, 7 News.
There's a health warning for Sydney homes as the summer heat hits. Up next, dangerous bacteria lurking in your aircon and how to stop the threat. Racial rethink, 2 famous lolly brands get a name change. Peak hour cash grab, a few Ks over the limit, but $1,000 fine.
Soon in sport, the Blues sweated out on the Central Coast ahead of what shapes as another fiery Origin decider.
And that cool change is fast approaching. Details on when it will arrive soon.
The brand new season. Nathan Fillion is the rookie. Tonight on 7.
The latest Super T-Bordeaux catalogue is out now. Save on 10 litres of Valvoline Super Diesel, $39.89, half price. And 3 cans of export aerosol paint for $9.99.
Dinner, a constant struggle. Wasting time buying food you don't need. Life getting in the way of eating well. Unable to satisfy your picky eater? Stuck in a rut of the same recipes over and over again. With HelloFresh, dinner is better. Pre-portioned, fresh ingredients, easy recipes, and delicious meals that everyone enjoys. Ready to change your routine? Order your first box today at hellofresh.com.au. Inspiration delivered.
It's Black November at Nick Scali. We must clear our floor stock and discontinued lines. Up to 30, 40 and 50% off. Our floor stock must go. Limited stock, limited time. Black November at all Nick Scali stores. Hurry.
There is still magic wherever you are. Cherish those golden to us this Christmas. Fragrant hazelnuts, smooth velvety chocolate. Say it with gold. Ferrero Rocher.
on the other side of your comfort zone. That's where brilliance lies. And there's only one way to get there. Made Brave, the 4 Series Coupe.
At Coles, we're helping lower the cost of easy entertaining with delicious new Coles Margarita Pizza Bites and crumb camembert wedges, both just $5 a pack. In the oven, then ready to serve. Coles, value the Australian way.
Listen, do you want to know a secret? Do you promise not to tell? I've known a secret for a week or two. Nobody knows, just we two.
Give chocolate secretly to someone you love.
There's a chaser in my way.
$55,000.
And he's scary.
Who'll win big and who'll be going home? New The Chase, weekdays on 7.
As we reported earlier, the ASX abandoned trading today following a technical glitch. One Aussie dollar is buying 72.88 US cents. Fuel prices continue to rise across Sydney. The average is $1.36 a litre tonight, but we found regular unleaded for $1.16.9 at Roseville and just $1.1.9 at Cabramatta. The parents of 4 children killed by a drunk driver are calling for road users to act responsibly to prevent further tragedies. Sienna, Angelina, Anthony and their cousin Veronique were killed at Oatlands in February while walking to buy ice cream.
Our life has been turned upside down. We thought something like that you just watch on television, but it actually happened to us. It can happen to anyone.
This National Road Safety Week, drivers are being urged to slow down, remove distractions and follow the road rules. Today's hot and humid weather had many switching on their air conditioner, but experts warn they should have checked it first. Mould and other germs can be sent spraying through the air, but there is an easy fix.
Warmer months, higher humidity. Storms strike outside as mould strikes inside.
This time of year, the phone's ringing off the hook. People are turning on their ACs for the first time in possibly 6 months. They're either getting an odour off of it or their allergies are playing up.
Mould caused by moist air affects 99% of homes across the country. Most households don't know they are living with it, often growing and hiding in air conditioning, a potential health hazard for you and your family.
I don't want to be sleeping under something that's pumping out mould spores all night.
There's over 100,000 different types of mould and everyone's going to react to each type of mould a little bit differently.
All across Sydney, people have been switching on the AC today, and while it may be a relief, many have little idea about what kind of air is being pumped out. Cleaning a dirty air conditioner regularly removes dangerous bacteria.
It's very important to actually get it serviced at least once a year, especially prior to summer starting.
The effects are far from hidden.
A runny nose, gritty sore red eyes, sore throat, cough, shortness of breath, skin rashes.
Mould, the ugly grower, in its prime this time of the year. Tom Saker, 7 News.
2 of Australia's best-loved lollies are getting new names. Redskins are being renamed Red Rippers and Chickos will be known as Cheekies. The change is designed to remove racial overtones. The newly branded confectionery will hit shelves early next year. It's the cash grab on our roads, costing some drivers thousands. Still to come, massive fines for minor infringements, why rental cars are most at risk and how you can get the penalty reduced. Don't miss that story soon on 7 News. But now Mel is here with Sport. And Mel, we might see some more Origin fireworks.
Yeah, we might, Fergo. Daly Cherry Evans is encouraging his big enforcer to maintain the rage in Wednesday's Origin decider. Details next. Plus, the Aussie Test captain in isolation as a COVID outbreak threatens to derail the summer of cricket. And a double-digit shocker from Tiger Woods at the Masters on a history-making day for Aussie Cameron Smith.
Wowzers, come and see what I've brung.
Could use a role model like that.
Aussie Telly's getting a shot of adrenaline.
We're out of toilet paper.
Only Howzos would take on 2020.
That's trophy-worthy.
And Australia's own regular old bogan.
Oh, get him, Daddy.
Will go where even South Park wouldn't dare.
That was sick.
The most bonkers Aussie comedy hour of all time. Tonight, 8:30 on Mate!
We go big, we go bold. We go big, we go bold.
This Christmas, help your loved ones connect with family past and present and discover their unique family story. Give the gift of family connection with Ancestry DNA. Order your kit today at ancestry.com.au.
Thought you were just getting the cherries.
Find all your Christmas specials like Australian IGA half or whole leg ham, $9 per kilo. And Pepsi 24 by 375 ml varieties, $14.70. Now at your local IGA.
Once you pop, you can't stop. Pringles.
I'd like a bar of chocolate, please. Happy birthday, Mum.
There's a glass and a half in everyone.
I've brought you something.
Wouldn't it be nice?
Meet Jim. He's been an Allianz customer for 5 years. So when he had an accident, he called us and spoke to Tina. She made the claims process easy and stress-free. And we didn't stop until he was back on the road again. Jim gave Allianz 5 stars and helped our comprehensive car insurance claims experience get an average of 4.4 stars. To join Jim and thousands of satisfied Allianz customers, search for your quote today.
Welcome back. Well, in one of the more unexpected events of Origin Week, the mild-mannered Daly Cherry Evans has lit the fuse for an explosive decider. After his Game 2 stoush with Payne Haas, Cherry Evans has urged Tino Fasua-Maliawi to maintain the rage at Suncorp Stadium on Wednesday night.
With the series on the line, the Blues train through the heatwave that hit the Central Coast. They say it'll help them fire in the Origin furnace.
The more you sweat alongside a guy when it's 30 degrees, the more trust you're going to have on him and on a big stage.
Warmest day I think we've had so far, but boys are embracing it. It's been good.
Daly Cherry Evans lit the fuse for a fiery decider, backing Big Tino to maintain the rage.
I've got his back. Maybe not physically out there in the fight, but no, just a couple of words of support.
Stephen Crichton has mainly sat back and observed during Origin camp. A very different story to Clubland, where the young gun's future at Penrith is firmly in the spotlight. The Panthers claimed he's reneged on a handshake deal to re-sign beyond next year. Crichton's management says that's not true.
I'd love him to stay, but look, I'm sure he'll worry about this, as a lot of players once the camp's done.
Penrith teammate Brent Naden has checked himself into a private health clinic to address issues with alcohol. And at the launch of his autobiography, Cameron Smith revealed he'll make a call on his future in the next month.
It's really just weighing up whether I feel I want to go on, really. It's not that I don't love the game.
Michelle Bishop, 7 News.
The COVID-19 outbreak in Adelaide has thrown preparations for the summer of cricket into chaos. A host of stars, including Test captain Tim Payne, have been made to self-isolate after playing Shield games in Adelaide. The first Test against India at Adelaide Oval on December 17 could be in jeopardy.
Cricket Australia have thought of every contingency. Whatever we have to do, we'll find a way.
Our men's team will replicate what we've seen in the WBBL, forming a barefoot circle before the one-day opener against India at the SCG to protest racism. Cameron Smith made history at Augusta National, but it wasn't enough to snare the coveted green jacket. He's the first player to shoot scores in the 60s in all 4 rounds of the Masters. The Aussie finished tied for second, 5 shots behind world number 1 Dustin Johnson.
Even without roaring galleries, Masters Sunday is an intimidating beast, capable of bringing the very best to their knees.
Oh, boy.
Defending champion Tiger Woods put 3 balls into Rays Creek at the par 3 12th, finishing with a 10, the worst hole score of his career.
No matter how much I push and ask of this body, it just doesn't work at times.
Cameron Smith's was in perfect working order. The Aussie star slashed overnight leader Dustin Johnson's 5-shot lead to just 2 in the final round.
This could be really good.
That is unbelievable. Nearly popped a kneecap while he was watching that one.
But 2 shots was as close as Smith got. Johnson slammed the door shut on the back 9 with 3 straight birdies.
What an effort.
The world number 1 victorious in a Masters record 20 under par, 5 clear of Smith and Sung Jae Im.
The long-awaited Masters has a long-awaited champion.
I'd take 15 under around here the rest of my career and I might win a couple.
A prodigious talent with a history of underperforming in majors, Johnson finally has something to go with his 2016 US Open.
Having Tiger put the green jacket on you, you know, it still seems like it's a dream, but, you know, I'm here and, you know, what a great feeling it is.
Nick Markham, 7 News.
Lewis Hamilton has won his 7th Formula 1 world title, equalling the record of Michael Schumacher. Daniel Ricciardo finished 10th at a wet Turkish Grand Prix after tangling with Renault teammate Esteban Ocon. They weren't the only drivers to struggle, though.
Verstappen goes wide and spins as well. He got caught up behind the rear wing of Sergio Perez.
Hamilton won easily to clinch the world title with 3 races to spare. A world champion was also crowned after a chaotic MotoGP race in Valencia. Aussie Jack Miller came up agonisingly short in a final lap duel with Franco Morbidelli.
Here comes Miller in the slipstream.
He needs some mechanic power.
He's not. Morbidelli wins in Valencia.
To be battling like that is unreal. But yeah, again, just coming up that little bit short.
Spaniard Joan Mir finished 7th to clinch his maiden world title. Fergo, a couple of Aussies, Jack Miller and, of course, Cameron Smith, who has many admirers, runners-up, but huge efforts.
So laid back, but so good.
You love him.
Good on you, Mel. A Sydney driver has been slapped with a fine of more than $1,000 for travelling just 8 kilometres an hour over the speed limit. The huge penalty was because he was driving a rental car, which is classed as a corporate vehicle, automatically attracting a fine 5 times greater than normal.
On Woodville Road in Chester Hill, 26 minutes after the school zone limit kicked in, this Toyota is clocked going 8 kilometres an hour too fast. The car, a rental from Hertz.
And the second there's a corporation there and you can't identify an individual driver, the fine increases immensely.
The fine, $1,015 instead of the normal $200 and 2 demerit points for the school zone offence.
At that point, there should be something to say to this driver, you know, were you the driver of the vehicle?
Over the last financial year, roughly 1,400 corporate fines were issued, more than half for less than 10 Ks over the speed limit. The minimum corporate penalty worth $605 instead of $121 and 1 demerit point for an individual.
We want to see the fines going to the driver. We want to see the demerit point system playing its role.
The $1,000 fine was eventually reissued, the driver given the correct penalty, including demerit points. Revenue New South Wales says anyone caught in a corporate car can apply online to avoid the higher fine, but penalties do apply for nominating the wrong driver.
Just use your correct details. Don't speed. I think that's the most important thing.
Amber Laidler, 7 News.
Now here's a quick look at what's on Sunrise tomorrow. Now Angie's back. Ange, much of Sydney still sweltering this evening.
Mark, temperatures have dropped a little, but it's still 26 degrees in the city and 33 at Penrith. The real change will arrive around midnight. Details next.
Hello, I'm Angela Cobbs. Tonight on the latest from 7 News, Adelaide's second wave. Can state borders really reopen by Christmas? Health Minister Greg Hunt joins me tonight. Live to London for the latest on Boris Johnson's isolation and how Donald Trump will be removed from the White House. We cross to the Capitol. The latest from 7 News tonight, 10:30.
She betrayed her best friend.
It doesn't change what I did. I killed Ross.
What she's about to do could ruin his life.
This witness is key. I need to find out who they are.
Does this witness person know that they can tear a family apart?
She can't keep it a secret forever.
The prosecution calls.
Home and Away.
Desserts with a Coles Classic Pavlova. Down to just $6. Save $2. Perfect with Coles Aussie Thickened Cream. Just $3. Coles. Value the Australian way.
You can do it. It's just a bird.
This week's Oz Lotto jackpot is serving up more big Aussie fun than a barbie with your mates.
Suck in, guys.
Get into Oz Lotto's $30 million jackpot this Tuesday.
Play now in-store at thelot.com or on the Lot app.
I love that Australia has these amazing extremes. Even the harshest places have these beautiful natural surfaces. And those matte surfaces, how they respond to light, the effect that creates, it's incredible to photograph. It's the same with Colorbond's Steel Matte. Strong, enduring, yet subtle in its beauty.
Look around. As the favourites come out, it begins. Observing with an eagle eye. Mastering the art of stashing. Oh, brilliant Irv Grant. Cadbury favourites. Everyone gets their favourites.
Let's compare health insurance. You might even save some money. Okay, I'll do it. Take the out of saving. Now's the time to compare, select and save with iSelect.
It's Black November at Nick Scali. We must clear our floor stock and discontinued lines. Lounges reduced, dining tables reduced, dining chairs reduced, and much more. Limited stock, limited time. Black November at all Nick Scali stores. Hurry.
We're announcing something big. The big deal is now on at Mazda, and we're putting value on 2020 plate vehicles front and centre, like CX-5 Max from $32,990 drive away. Search Mazda offers today.
Voltaren Osteogel 12 hourly for a joint pain. She'll start exercising again.
With just 2 applications a day, Voltaren Osteogel 12 hourly gives you joint pain relief for the whole day and all night.
Actually, exercise is not so bad.
Voltaren, the joy of movement.
When you want to update your home's air conditioning, you'll want air with smart automation. Air that's quiet. And air that saves energy. A lot of energy. Isn't it time you updated your air conditioner? Mitsubishi Electric. Works for me.
1 year on from our worst bushfire season, we're on board for the Major Threat Assessment. How prepared are emergency services? 7 News at 6.
Tonight's 7 News headlines. Power has been restored to thousands of homes and businesses after a meltdown on a sweltering Sydney day. The Premier says we won't be closing our borders to South Australia despite their first outbreak there in months. 400,000 Robodebt victims will receive compensation as part of Australia's biggest class action settlement. And 91-year-old Josh Botts has vowed to return to the air even after crashing his paraglider into the ocean. Now with the latest on Sydney's warm weather, here's Angie.
Thanks very much, Mark. What a day. The sea breeze held off the worst of the heat until late this afternoon, but just after 4 p.m, the city saw a late burst reaching 36.5 degrees. That is 0.1 of a degree off the November record for Observatory Hill, which was set in 2018. Penrith, though, was the standout, reaching 41 degrees. Its hottest November day in 5 years, but really nowhere escaped this heat. Katoomba 30 degrees, Parramatta 39, Manly reached 37. This is the current satellite image. You can see those hot northwesterlies are still filtering across our state at the moment, and they are pushing all the way to the coast, which allowed that late afternoon spike in heat. Tonight, though, we are watching a cold front in the south. The first sign of cooler air will arrive around 9 o'clock with much cooler air by midnight. Tomorrow's capitals, Brisbane, showers developing, top of 31, sunny and 24 degrees for us for Canberra. Partly cloudy day ahead for Melbourne and Hobart. Fine one for Adelaide, top of 20. 24 degrees forecast for Perth. Statewide tomorrow, clear skies for most centres, some showers just on the north coast, and importantly, much cooler, a top of 23 degrees forecast at Newcastle, 25 for Wagga Wagga. Some of the intense heat will persist only in the north though. Moree is aiming for a top of 38 degrees. Coonamble should hit 34. With that change not arriving until late, most of tonight will be uncomfortable in the metro region, with lows sitting around 19 degrees, 17 for Terror Hills. Tops though much cooler, a top of 20 degrees forecast for Bondi, and after today's 41, Penrith will record a top of 26. Quite a turnaround. That southerly will be blustery, with gusts up to 30 knots tomorrow and a 2.5 metre swell, winds easing by afternoon. Those warnings are in place for gusts tomorrow. All coastal locations will experience strong winds, with gales forecast for the Eden coast. For the city, a top of 21 tomorrow, which is 15 degrees below today's maximum. To the week ahead, more moderate temperatures for the rest of the week. Our next warmest day will be Friday, when we're looking at 27 in the city, 35 in our west, then some light showers for Sunday, Monday, but nothing like today. That was pretty extreme, Ellen Mark.
Yeah, that southerly will be welcome.
Very welcome.
Thank you, Angie. That is 7 News for this Monday. We'll have updates for you throughout the evening. I'm Mark Ferguson from all the team. I hope you have a great night.